If you're tired and worn out, you're likely missing out on this one thing that we literally learn from plants. Welcome to the Grow Time Biz Devo, where we explore God's principles for living a high-performance life. My name is Kenneth Ott, and today we're in Hosea. Hosea is not a book of the Bible that I read very often, and it's one of the minor prophets. And it's a short book, 14 chapters. But my personal devotions led me here. And as I was reading it, it really spoke to me because I may be like you, or go through times and am going through times where you get worn out. Sometimes you feel inspired, sometimes you don't. There's actually a built-in reason for that in the universe. Like there's a built-in mechanism to restore every human being in the universe. And most people probably aren't taking advantage of it. And some are. And we find out about it here in Hosea. So just the context for Hosea, Israel had fallen away from God, and it had split into two kingdoms, and they needed to kind of come back to God. And there was this big empire, Assyria at the time, yes, which eventually ended up destroying them. They were the power at the time. All right, and so Hosea is speaking into them and basically prophesying over them. So I'm going to read Hosea 14, verses 3 through 7. And then I've just got a couple observations that I want to bring forward to you. So, verse 3. Assyria shall not save us. We will not ride on horses, nor will we say any more to the work of our hands, you are our God. For in you the fatherless find mercy. I will heal their backsliding. I will love them freely, for my anger has turned away from him. I will be like the dew to Israel. He shall grow like the lilies and lengthen his roots like Lebanon. His branches shall spread. His beauty shall be like an olive tree, and his fragrance like Lebanon. Those who dwell under his shadow shall return, or shall be renewed. They shall be revived like grain and grow like a vine. Their scent shall be like the wine of Lebanon. This is, sometimes I read bigger parts of the chapters and things like that to give more context around this. But here's what's interesting about these verses. Israel's worn out. They've fallen away from God. They've been oppressed, and they're paying the price for it. Now, in the first verse, or in verse 3, it says, Assyria shall not save us. We will not ride on horses, nor will we say any more to the work of our hands, you are our God. This is the false belief that you actually have a lot of power in your situation, and the giving it over, the yielding of it to God to say, there isn't something else that's going to save me. No one's coming to save me, no matter how much I may think that, no matter how strong it seems like this other thing is, that's not going to save me. My strength and my ability, that's not going to be what saves me, because I can't just go on that. So all of us leaders, and really, this is a lifelong process. It takes a long time to come to this. Some people never do. For me, I'm still coming to it. I thought I actually had come to the end of realizing that my strength is not enough. And then I realized that I wasn't even there. I've mentioned on a few Biz Devos recently, I'm going through some physical challenges that I never expected. I literally woke up New Year's Day, 2025, and could not walk. It turned out to be this sciatic nerve issue, and it is so debilitating. And so what's fascinating is I'm someone who's very healthy. I eat very healthy. I work out a lot. I build muscle. I do all this kind of stuff. I like feeling really, really good. I work on my physical, my mental, my spiritual. That is part of my life. It's part of my life mission. I've got 4 little kids who I want to be running around with and playing football with and winning over constantly, from now and 20 years from now. That's always been my goal. So to actually be literally debilitated for this period of time with pain and lack of strength, and just sometimes you can't stand. It's like a weird thing, and I have a very newfound respect for anyone who deals with anything that's chronic pain, because you can't even think, let alone the physical side of it. And so all of a sudden, in one day, I realized, like, wow, my physical ability can be taken down in just one day. And by the way, it just didn't happen out of nowhere. Like, I thought I had a muscle cramp, if you really want to know. And so I massaged that out with a baseball, like, you know, when you lay on like a lacrosse ball or a baseball to like massage something out. I did that. Turned out the pain that I was feeling was actually a nerve, and I was damaging that nerve, and I was, you know, hurting it. And it didn't like that. It created a level of awareness to me that you are so fragile. Like, life is so fragile. We think we just expect to like wake up tomorrow and be able to walk. The truth is like there's like millions of these chemical reactions inside of you that if one doesn't fire the right way, you don't wake up. And that could happen at any time, or you can't walk or whatever. And so the illusion of our physical ability is truly an illusion. The illusion that someone else is coming to save us, right? Maybe a government or maybe a opportunity. By the way, those things will not save you, especially government. But the illusion that there's something out there. Like for me, I would often, as I'm building something, I would anticipate, look forward to opportunities on the horizon and that's a good thing, like as something exciting that I'm looking forward to, but also sometimes as a savior to say, like, I would get my trust out of this potential opportunity. Like, oh, cool, this is going to work because this opportunity is here. The truth is like, that is not what provides for you. And so I'm learning that over and over and over and over and over again. I thought I knew that. Now I'm learning it more. And everyone's life is that, you know, most people, most leaders, especially most Christian leaders, like you sort of have this process of just learning that. And it's actually something that a lot of people resist. Like, I resisted it for a long time. I know a lot of people right now who resist it. And just like, you know, or like, I do not want to believe that I have to rely on something else. Like, I can't rely on my ability and myself and my money and my wealth and all those kind of things. Like, all good resources, but bad if you think that they're what actually sustains you. They're what actually provides for you, or that they provide any protection for you. Truth is, they don't. And in life, you, like I, like realize that over and over again. We realize that all the time when situations arise where it indicates and brings awareness to the fact that, wow, I'm not as strong as I thought I was. I'm not as safe as I thought I was. Now, for the unbeliever, that may lead to paranoia and fear and anxiety, right? And that's the benefit of being a leader who is under God, and you believe that God has your best interest in mind, because when you have that, and you're like, I don't have the anxiety. Like, yes, everything could fall apart tomorrow. And yes, that could be painful. And just being honest with you straight up, like, that's scary. And that is easy. It's easy to worry about. It's easy to create a lot of anxiety. But we know the truth. And the truth, I mentioned this in the last Devo, the truth is not the same as the facts. The truth is not the same as the situation. The truth supersedes all those things. And the truth is that for God's people, He is your provider. So the first thing we see here is that, like, you have to come to a realization that our hands, it says, like, nor will we anymore to the work of our hands, nor will we say anymore to the work of our hands, as it said so well, nor will we say anymore to the work of our hands, our ability, you are our gods. Like, how many of us who have a lot of skills, like who know we can do something, who have a lot of confidence, maybe look at our ability, and those abilities are our gods, and we don't even realize it. And so that's the first thing. Now I want to just really hone in at, for the end of this Devo on really one concept. In verse 5, it says, I will be like the dew to Israel. And I sat there for a second and I read over that, and then it just passed me by, and then I kind of just was led back to it. I was led back to, interesting, the dew. What is the dew of Israel? And what's interesting about dew is it's this concept in nature, right? We take it for granted because it happens like every single day pretty much. But it's pretty fascinating, right? Like if you think about it for a second and like take away the normalcy of it, because that you ignore just because it happens every day, like it's pretty amazing. Like you've got all these plants across the world, you've got all of this life and vegetation, and every single day, and obviously it all needs water to grow. And every day, in addition to rain coming at certain points, but every single day, God brings a layer of water. Like it happens every day. And I'm sure someone's going to reach out to me and be like some agricultural person, be like, no, it doesn't happen every day. It only happens. But like, I'm going to say it happens every day, like pretty much every day, right? You've got that layer of dew. It's that watering of all these things every single day. The renewal of plants and the restoration and the feeding of them through dew, this mechanism that just automatically happens. And it only happens when there are certain variables at play, which only happen at that time of the day. That's what's fascinating. So when it says, I will be like the dew to Israel, what can we take away from that, right? It goes on to say how, after that, I will be like the dew to Israel. They'll grow like the lily and lengthen their roots, and branches shall spread, and beauty shall be like the olive tree, and the fragrance, and you'll be revived like grain and grow like the vine, and the scent shall be like the wine of Lebanon. Like it's got everything after that is life. It's like growth and life and abundance and protection. It says in verse 7, those who dwell under his shadow shall return. But in other translations, it says be renewed. If you're tired and worn out, and if you're a leader, like there are times when you are, period, like probably daily, you're tired and worn out, like wouldn't you want to be renewed? And so listen, so here's the deal. I thought like, okay, we need dew. Like you need dew every day. If part one is like, you cannot rely on yourself. You really can't rely on the opportunities or someone else coming to save you. And by the way, like it takes energy to do what you're doing. So like you're actually like expending energy every single day. You're going to be worn out if you don't have the dew, which is the daily provision by God for yourself, your strength, and everything else. I mean, dew hits plants and everything else around it. Like, so your business needs the dew every day. You need the dew every day. Your family does. Your relationships, your marriage, every single thing needs that dew every day. That daily provision. That's the solution to not being worn out. That's the solution to having energy and actually having income no matter what, and for bad situations to turn around. Like it's the daily dew. So, a few observations about dew and how you can actually bring it, because as you think about the dew, and by the way, what's fascinating I've told you this before if you've been listening, but like the Bible uses like nature and agriculture all the time as the metaphor or as the case study for how you can apply a principle. Those principles apply to every living thing. Everything on the face of this planet abides by those same principles. And so you'd be unwise to just disregard this or anything you read here as, oh, those are just plants. Not just plants. Like it's literally a principle that is so simple, like God's giving you a plant to show you how it works, You just got to apply it. You must realize that that's how this works, and be unwise for you to not realize that. And so what can we learn about dew in plants? So here's some interesting observations about dew. I've got 3 of them, right? If you want to bring the dew to your life every single day, the restoration of God's energy and the feeding of your soul, and even like the physical feeding of your things, the provision for your things, whatever that is, your life, your family, your business, etc. It would make sense to figure out how to bring the dew every day. So 3 observations about dew. The first one is this: dew only comes in stillness. So it's interesting, like at the beginning, when dew doesn't come throughout the entire day, right? When the sun's at its peak, there's no dew. When there's wind, when there's storms, there's no dew. Like dew comes when the wind dies down, when the temperature dies down, and everything is still and quiet. And everything is really asleep. That's when the dew comes. The dew comes between the times. It comes not in the middle of the night and not in the middle of the day. It's like the between. So dew comes in stillness. So what does that mean for us? Like if you want to bring the dew to your life, the God's provision and restoration to your life daily, well, then you need to get still. You need to get quiet. Like, it's funny sometimes how people say to me, "Oh, well, I've tried that, but praying or something like that, and just haven't seen it doesn't work, right?" Or like, "I've tried meditation or like doing devotions or whatever, but it hasn't worked." Like, and then you dig into it and you're like, "Well, have you really worked at it?" Because what in life, like, what if Michael Jordan was like, "Yeah, I tried like dribbling once or twice and then it didn't work, so like gave it." Like, he didn't do that. Like, he got really good because he spent a lot of time dedicated to the principle that if I work on this thing, I'm going to get this result. In what world can you put unextraordinary inputs and get extraordinary outputs? That doesn't exist, right? And so if we want the dew, we've got to abide by, like, a principle only works if you apply it the right way. So that's why for some people, maybe it doesn't work. So dew comes in stillness. So the first thing is we need to find time to be still, right? Not in and just practically speaking, like, it's probably not in the middle of the day. Maybe it is, but like, if you run anything, you lead anything, you own anything, you lead a family, you like manage people, like I know once, like, I'm on, like, my team's on and everyone else in the world's on, like, I'm not getting stillness. Like, I've got to find it elsewhere. Truthfully, at night, I've got kids. Like, I'm not getting stillness there. I'm putting them to bed, doing all kinds of stuff. Then I'm like, just like conked out. So like, you have to create stillness for dew to come. Dew requires stillness. That's the first one. The second one is this: dew only comes in the early hours of the morning. And I would even say a little further, dew only comes before everything else begins. So kind of like what I just said, if you look at nature as the metaphor, like as the model that we need to apply, you realize that dew will not come in the middle of the day when everything's happening. Dew comes before everything happens. Dew comes early in the morning. And so for us, it would say, look, maybe there are other times. I'm not saying it's like impossible to talk to God. And I mean, it's literally not. Like, I talk to God all day long, and I know a lot of people who do, but like, I'm not saying it's impossible to hear. But what I am saying is, if we're trying to model something that works, maybe we need to spend time early in the morning. Maybe we need to spend time before everything else begins. I've had other devos talking about mornings and the power of mornings. I've talked about morning, quote, routines, and I've talked about even like mornings in the Bible. It's really fascinating how a lot happens in the mornings, in just stories. When Moses went up to get the 10 Commandments twice, like, it was early in the morning. So many other instances in stories, God brought someone to a mountain in the morning to talk to them, like very early in the morning, like before the sun came up. Maybe you're not a morning person, quote, morning person. You know what? Here's the deal. Nobody is. No one doesn't like to sleep. Like, no one likes getting up when you'd rather sleep in. No one likes any of that stuff. So this illusion that if you're thinking like I'm not a morning person, that you're lying to yourself, saying, because no one is. Some people say they are. They're really not. I love to sleep. I could sleep right now on camera if I wanted to. I love to sleep. And I don't like to get up super early, but I do like to be up super early. Because once you experience the taste of the stillness, by the way, it doesn't even have to be like praying and reading Bibles and stuff. Like just the stillness, the peace in the morning sets you up and restores you. It's like a principle that happens even if you don't do anything. It's fascinating. And so dew only comes in the early morning. So if we want the dew, we need to do it in the early morning. Now, does that have to be 4 a.m.? Maybe, but maybe not. Like, is it better earlier? Probably. Is getting up an hour earlier from where you are, or actually maybe you're up and maybe you just need to do something at that time and rearrange it. Like, is that better than not doing it? Absolutely. Because we need the daily restoration. If you're gonna not be worn out, burnt out, and scared, you need the daily restoration. You need the dew. All right, so that's the second one. Dew comes in the early morning. The third observation, the last one, is dew comes daily, right? And again, some farmer, which I love farming, someone in agriculture, someone who plants stuff might disagree with me. Maybe it doesn't come every single day of the entire year. Maybe there are situations where dew doesn't come. Maybe, I don't know. But it seems like to me, dew comes effectively daily. Like every single day, the sun sets and the dew comes and the sun rises. Like every single day, when the variables are there, it's the right time, it's the right stillness, the dew comes. And so if the plants need dew daily and they get dew daily to restore them and to keep them alive, then if we want restoration, we want to be provided for daily, we need to do things to actually be aware of that. We need to be aware that we need daily provision. Like the part of the reason why you're worn out, or when I'm worn out, and I was worn out just a few days ago. So it's not like, oh, Ken's amazing. Like, not at all. But when that happens, it's because I've gotten out of that rhythm, right? Certainly because things are harder, right? Something's requiring more energy. And oftentimes what happens is something requires more energy, more focus, or you're concerned about something, and it actually throws off the rhythm that would actually restore you. So, you have double, like an exponential negative, right? Like two things compounding where you're getting like more energy being sucked out of you and you're not doing things to restore the energy at the same time. When that's happening, you're likely not realizing that you need it daily and that God needs to provide it to you daily. This is something that God's had to work on me a lot, and he still is. I can't get over the fact that I need to rely on him daily. I really just, to be honest with you, cannot. Like, I want enough money in the bank and the tons of stuff and like enough food in the storage. And not that like that's not bad, by the way. I actually think that that's important. But what's more important, clearly, and this is why it's different for different people, is that your awareness must be that you're not invincible by having those things. That you actually need God to provide for you daily, whether you have those things or not. And some people need that lesson taught more than others, I suppose. So that's like a hard thing. But like when you look at like the children of Israel with the manna and the food and like all the different things throughout the Bible, it's like daily provision. And I've had to trust like in really hard ways for that type of provision for myself at periods of time. Like even like, wow, a long time ago, like literally daily income I needed to trust for. And then even with like our businesses, like sometimes you're not sure how it's going to work out. And it's like, God, if this is your thing, like you've got to provide for it like daily. That's not a great business strategy. It may seem, right? And I'm not suggesting you don't plan or anything. Like it's, you can't really have a board and be like, we're just hoping that God provides tomorrow. But there is an element to that. Like it's a balance and it's important to be aware of. It doesn't mean you don't plan and you're reckless and all that kind of stuff. And like, but like, you got to be aware, like ultimately, like the person who's in charge of all this stuff is him. And that's hard. And so that's the third observation. Dew comes daily. And so like anything else, like if you don't eat daily, if you don't drink water daily, you get broken down, you start to die, you lose energy, and eventually you crumble, right? I just did a 21-day fast where I only did liquids. And it was actually really hard this year. I've done it a few years in a row. Like other years have actually been a little bit easier. This was really hard. And I know that hunger, right? And my energy was lower during that period of time. You can survive without food. You can't survive without water, and you need that daily. I've got my giant jug here, right? This red thing, half gallon of water. My goal is to drink 2 of these each day. I fill this up, guess what? Well, twice a day, but daily. We obviously all need water daily. We need provision daily. And just like anything else, really what we need is that restoration daily. By the way, part of why this Devo exists from a business owner, from an entrepreneur, for entrepreneurs, is so that our people can have this kind of dew daily. Like that you can be restored and encouraged and renewed daily, not because of me, but because of really looking into God's word and actually seeing what are the success principles that we can apply to business and life daily. So if this was helpful for you, please let me know. Or if you find that it would be helpful for somebody else, a business owner, an entrepreneur, something like that, share with them. That would be amazing. That would be super helpful. You could do all the like subscribe and share type things around. All that would be very appreciated. If you'd like to learn more about the Biz Devo, you can go to bizdevo.com. That's bizdevo.com. You can learn more. You can potentially get these daily when they come out in the morning. Actually, they're more like weekly, but we've got 80 something episodes out there. And so like you literally could do daily. And pretty soon we actually have a really cool project that's coming out that will actually allow you to do this daily. And I didn't plan for all this within this topic. It just happened to be, working out. And so if you'd like to learn anything more about me, KTo&x, you can go to kenott.com. That's KENOTT.com. You can learn about me. You can work with me. If you're a business owner, there's more stuff for you there to help you on your journey. And then until next time, thanks and never stop growing.